I think we all recognize at this point the dangers and that you're not with us anymore. But yet again, I find myself wondering where you are. You've got all these people looking for you right now because, there's just nothing definitive.
In the morning fog and haze resulting from a massive wildfire, a 19-year-old girl goes missing in San Francisco, California. The search for answers takes her family to the world-famous Golden Gate Bridge, and a series of difficult questions leave all possibilities on the table. It's time to turn on the searchlight for Sydney Caitlin West. Welcome back to Brain Scratch Searchlight. I'm John Lordan. Thank you so much for caring about these cases like I do. Sydney West was born to Jay and Kimberly West on July 11th, 2001. She grew up in Pleasanton, California, a suburb in the East Bay region of the San Francisco Bay Area. In 2005 and 2007, this area was considered to be one of the wealthiest middle-sized cities in the United States. This gave Sydney access not only to many different outdoor activities, but to museums and beautiful parks as well. Sydney, or Sid as she was known to her loved ones, grew up with many different interests. She had a passion for travel, science, and the arts. She played piano and wrote her own songs that she would perform at open mic nights. Sid played softball in elementary school, then volleyball in high school, but when she was at home, she enjoyed spending her time playing with her little sister Faith and their family dogs. Her parents, Jay and Kimberly, moved the family far east to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where Sid finished her school years and eventually graduated. Even though she was in a new state, as the old song goes, she had left her heart in San Francisco. Sid planned to move back to the Bay Area to attend UC Berkeley, but an event changed the course of her life. While boating and swimming with the family in July of 2020, there was an accident. The family boat was moored to a dock. The dock had a roof that was covering it. Sid wanted to jump from the roof into the water down below. She asked her father if he thought that she could do that with a flotation device on. The drop was somewhere around 15 to 16 feet. Her father told her not to try it, that when she hit the water, it would be like hitting concrete. Not heeding his warning, she decided to make the jump anyway. Jay wonders if she thought that maybe he was kidding with the warning that he had given moments earlier, but the family heard a huge splash in the water. They could see Sid resurface, but they immediately knew that something was wrong. Her face was bloody. Sid was pulled from the water and found to have busted her lip, but also, soon after that, she started to have headaches and nausea. A visit to the doctor would show that she had a severe concussion. Now, not only was she suffering from the effects of the concussion, but Sid had also been struggling with anxiety and depression. According to health.mil, when a concussion or a traumatic brain injury occurs, symptoms from anxiety and depression can actually come out stronger than ever. Some patients even suffer severe memory loss for months or years at a time. After her accident, the family noticed Sydney's mood and personality were changing. On top of all this, this was also near the start of the COVID pandemic. For Sid to start her first fall semester of college, she would have to attend her classes virtually. However, her doctor had warned her not to have as much screen time with her devices. This could actually make it harder for her to recover. Sid already noticed that using screens was giving her even worse headaches and making her sick. All of her classes would have to be done on screen, and Sid just wasn't able to make that happen. She eventually decided to defer her first year of classes and spend the time healing from her injury. By September of 2020, the 19-year-old was staying in the Bay Area with family friends. Sydney was very close to her family and spoke to them often. On the 29th, she was staying in the city in a hotel room, trying to plan her next move. That night, she spent time talking with her family back in North Carolina. When her father, Jay, hung up the phone, he expected to talk to Sid the following day. Now, because she was across the country, her family would frequently use a location sharing app on their phones. It just comforted them to be able to see where Sid was and what she may be doing during her days and nights. When her father looked at the location sharing app at 7 a.m. on September 30th, Sid's phone showed no location data. His phone calls went unanswered, as well as text messages. The family looked into her activity so far that morning. They found at the hotel that she had checked out at about 6 a.m. Her bank account showed that she had taken a ride share to Crissy Field, and she arrived there around 6:30 a.m. But that's about all they could find. Crissy Field is a public recreation area located just east of the Golden Gate Bridge. This was an area that Sid enjoyed very much. There's a lot of things that you can do in this area, and of course, you've got the beautiful Golden Gate Bridge and its commanding view. Sid loved to take pictures of that area as well as go for walks or runs near and even on the bridge itself. Jay decided that he needed to get to San Francisco to try to find his daughter. He alerted the family, friends, and other members in the area that he would be there that afternoon. When he arrived, he and his brother went to Crissy Field to look for Sid. They connected with people in the area, asking if anyone had seen her. When they weren't able to find anything, they decided that it was time to contact the police and report her missing. Now, because Sid's permanent residence was actually still in North Carolina, her father reported her missing to the Orange County, North Carolina police on October 1st. They, in turn, filed an additional missing persons report directly with the San Francisco Police Department. Within a week of Sid's disappearance, investigators contacted the family in North Carolina and told them that they had located her backpack near the Golden Gate Bridge in some bushes. Soon after, investigators found security camera footage from the bridge that showed someone who they believe is Sid the morning that she disappeared. It was at 6:45 a.m. that an Uber dropped Sid off at the location. This time of the morning is a very busy one for that area. Even with heavy fog and smoke from the Oregon wildfires that had occurred only weeks before this, people were out at Crissy Field. You had bird watchers, joggers, commuters on foot, and of course, plenty of commuters in their vehicles trying to get to work on a busy Wednesday morning in a heavily populated city. The family's request to view this footage found by the investigators was initially denied. But since then, Jay and his brother have been permitted to watch it. It shows what looks like Sydney on the south side of the bridge closest to the city. She walks up a little ways with her backpack and her cell phone in hand before she returns to the other side, and then she reappears without those items. She then starts running at a steady pace along the footpath part of the bridge, and she just disappears into the fog and haze. The footage doesn't show her exiting the bridge. Of course, with circumstances of this nature, one has to consider the possibility that she may have jumped. Disappearing on this bridge is not a good sign, and the police were quick to point that out. The family doesn't quite agree with the assumed outcome. They spoke to her the previous day. She was back in the place that she loved. You have a heavily traveled area, and no one reported seeing anyone climb the railing or jumping from the bridge. No scream was reported, no sound of someone hitting the water. The Coast Guard received no reports of anything being found in the water that day. Now, even though depression and anxiety were things that Sid was known to struggle with, no members of her family had ever felt that she would take her own life. According to the Bridge Rail Foundation, the Golden Gate Bridge is a spot that has seen over 2,000 people take their lives by jumping from it. 30 people per year jump from the Golden Gate Bridge, making it the most used spot in the world. Wikipedia states that the bridge deck is about 245 feet above the water. After a fall of 4 seconds, jumpers would hit the water at around 75 miles per hour. Most die from trauma of the actual impact. The approximately 5% that survive that initial impact generally drown or die of hypothermia in the frigid waters. The railing on the bridge stands at around 4 feet tall, making it relatively easy for someone to climb over it. It's been decided that a deterrent net would be installed. This stainless steel net would extend 20 feet from the bridge edge, and it's 20 feet below the walking path. It essentially catches anyone that tries to go over the rail. Installation began in 2018, but it wasn't completed by September of 2020. As a matter of fact, it's estimated to be finished sometime in 2023, which is soon up. Jay was able to retrieve Sid's backpack from investigators, but its contents did little to help in their search. It only contained some of Sid's artwork and some of her clothes. So the family started asking questions, their biggest question being, if Sid jumped from the bridge, where is her body? Jay and Kimberly felt that they were on their own in the search for their daughter. However, the San Francisco Police Department recently released a statement to People.com that says, this missing person case is still an open investigation. At this time, we do not have any evidence that foul play was involved. Now, we do hear that investigators considered Sid at risk due to depression. And to be fair, leaving a backpack in an area, even hidden in bushes, just in an area that populated, it's got me thinking of that possibility as well. Why would you leave anything that has valuables of any kind behind? On the flip side of that, I myself am a runner, and I know I don't like to run with all that stuff with me. If she did have to check out of the hotel and had to take her things with her, she's going to have her backpack with her. If you want to go for a run, you're either going to store it somewhere or you're going to take it with you, and that just doesn't seem reasonable for doing on a morning run. So quite honestly, I'm caught on both sides of this. You also can't ignore that you have hundreds, if not thousands of people using that bridge in those early morning hours. Now, it's not impossible to think that she may have exited the bridge in a vehicle. And it's also not impossible that even if she did wind up in the water, it might have not been from her own doing. There's a lot of things that are literally left on the table with this case that we just can't quite write off despite the outward appearance and easy assumption to think with this case. Her family has gone to work trying to raise awareness of their plight and trying to find help in their search for Sid. Different organizations were looked into. A flyer was created and distributed, as well as a website, Facebook page, and a private investigator by the name of Scott Dudek was hired. He interviewed as many people as he could find that had seen Sid on that morning. The doorman at the hotel recalls that he had a pleasant conversation with Sid before he helped her into the Uber. Scott, unfortunately, was unable to interview the actual Uber driver. However, investigators told him that the man has been eliminated as being a suspect. He was very helpful during their questioning and seemed upset to find out that Sid was missing. He said that she seemed fine to him. None of Sid's accounts on either social media or any of her financial accounts have been touched since the day that she disappeared. All of her personal belongings have been accounted for as well. Scott Dudek told Fox News Digital, "You would think if somebody went and crawled up on the rails with all those people and bike riders, somebody would have either called, which never happened, or somebody would have tried to talk to her and come forward with all that publicity, and that never happened." In a case where some investigators think the answer is obvious, there are still many possibilities that just can't quite be wiped from consideration. Was she abducted? Another victim of human trafficking? Did she run away to start a new life? Was there some scuffle lost in the fog and haze of that morning? Or did she really lose her will to live? In any of these cases, her family deserves answers. Even with news coverage and various billboards that were set up around the bridge, Jay and Kimberly are still searching for those answers. Many tips have come in. even a very promising one from Santa Cruz that came about thanks to the show Disappeared, which highlighted Sid's case. Unfortunately, none of them have led to actually finding Sid. Today, Jay and Kimberly still look for their daughter, and they will not stop until she comes home. Jay told Fox News, "Lots of people have been like, well, it's obvious what happened. She was on the Golden Gate Bridge. But her being my daughter and knowing how she feels about her sister and about her family and all of the things that she was looking forward to, I just find it hard to believe she would just leave all of that." Sydney West, who goes by Sid, stands at 5 foot 10 inches tall and weighs around 130 pounds. Her eyes are blue, and her hair is light brown and usually worn in a ponytail. The day she disappeared, she was wearing long dark leggings, a teal hoodie sweatshirt, and Vans slip-on sneakers with a blue-green tropical print. Sid's hair was in a bun on the top of her head. She also wears prescription glasses, and her ears are pierced. Please share this video with friends and acquaintances in California, especially in the San Francisco Bay Area, to help us raise awareness. And if you want to support the family, there's a link below for their GoFundMe, which states that the family is now working with a group called We Are the Essentials. These former law enforcement officers and military service members now serve as search and recovery investigators and consultants, using their skills to investigate missing people and helping to bring much-needed closure to those families. On behalf of myself and my amazing supporters here at LordanArts, we have made a donation to this GoFundMe. If you would like to join us, please see the link below. This GoFundMe has been established to raise funds to cover the travel and investigation costs for the Essentials team, in the hope that they can get Sid's family the answers that they desperately need and deserve. You can also learn more about Sydney's story as well as print posters and receive further updates by visiting either the Facebook page Find Sydney West or the family's website at findsydneywest.com. A $25,000 reward is being offered. Anyone with information about Sydney's disappearance or may have seen something that happened in San Francisco on that morning of September 30th, 2020, please contact private investigator Scott Dudek at 925-705-8328, or you can email him at dudek.associates@gmail.com. You can also contact the San Francisco Police Department at 415-575-4444. Since 2015, we have always run limited commercial ads for the benefit of the viewers and the families that we're trying to help. Obviously, we can't do that without support. A big thank you to PayPal supporters Angela Welch-Sola, Amanda Beard, and Roxanne Brown. If you'd like to help, please visit LordanArts.com. There you can sign up for Patreon, sign up for PayPal, buy merchandise, or even just buy us a coffee, like Ann Peters recently did. We really appreciate your support on our mission to run as few ads as possible and help as many families as we can. Also, thank you to everyone that is supporting Sydney's family through all of this. Let's keep those eyes, ears, and hearts open and looking for Sydney West. I'll see you here again soon on the LordanArts channel.